the restaurant that refused fame and became iconic. They were offered headlines, cameras, and endless exposure. They said no, again and again. This story matters now because visibility is treated as the ultimate currency. Growth is equated with relevance. Silence is mistaken for failure. Yet one restaurant proved that refusing fame can create a deeper kind of influence. To understand how anonymity became its strength, we need to return to a place that chose restraint over recognition. Because today, the same pressure to be seen shapes nearly every creative decision. From the beginning, the restaurant avoided attention. No press releases, no social media presence, no interviews explaining philosophy. The doors opened quietly, and they stayed that way. Guests found it through trust, not algorithms. A recommendation from someone who rarely gave them. A memory shared without details. The experience resisted description, and that resistance protected it. As word spread, offers followed. Media coverage promised visibility. Collaborations promised reach. Awards promised legitimacy. Each came with the same trade: exposure for access. The restaurant declined them all, not out of arrogance, but intention. Attention changes behavior. Cameras alter rooms. Narratives harden experiences into products. The team wanted none of it. Inside, the dining room felt untouched by performance. No one documented their meal. No one explained what mattered. The experience belonged fully to the moment. That choice confused outsiders. Why hide something this good? Why refuse recognition others chase desperately? The answer was simple. Because some things only work when they are not watched. And that belief would soon face its greatest test. The test arrived when anonymity became impossible. Guests recognized the restraint as a statement. Refusal itself became reputation. The restaurant was known for not being known. Attention gathered indirectly. Articles hinted without naming. Influencers spoke around it. Mystery fueled demand. Reservations became scarce, not through promotion, but through absence. The team felt the pressure tighten. Even silence can attract noise. The dining room filled with guests chasing the idea of invisibility, rather than the experience itself. Maintaining integrity became harder. How do you protect anonymity when others project narratives onto it? How do you stay present when attention arrives uninvited? The restaurant responded by narrowing further. Policies discouraged photography. Staff avoided personal storytelling. The focus returned to the meal, not the myth. Some guests pushed back. They wanted access. They wanted stories to tell. Others understood and leaned in. They respected the boundaries and found the experience deeper for it. Critics speculated loudly. Was this authenticity or calculated mystique? The restaurant never answered. Silence remained the response. Inside, the team learned an uncomfortable truth. Refusing fame does not eliminate it. It only changes its shape. The question was no longer how to avoid attention. It was how to live alongside it without surrendering. And the answer would emerge through consistency, not control. Consistency became the only defense. The restaurant did not react to rumors or speculation. It did not clarify misconceptions. It did not adjust its rhythm to satisfy curiosity. Night after night, the same standards held. Service remained understated. Food remained focused. Nothing bent toward performance. Over time, the noise outside lost power over what happened inside. Guests who arrived chasing mystique felt unsettled. There was nothing to collect. No moment to broadcast. The experience resisted packaging. Those guests rarely returned. Others stayed. They understood the quiet contract being offered. Presence in exchange for privacy. Attention in exchange for restraint. The restaurant became a place you visited for yourself, not for proof. The team felt the shift internally. Pressure softened. Decisions became easier. The absence of narrative allowed the work to breathe. The dining room felt grounded again. Industry peers began noticing something unusual. Despite refusing fame, the restaurant's influence grew, not through coverage, but through reference. Chefs spoke about it privately. Techniques traveled without attribution. Ideas spread without headlines. The restaurant had become iconic without being visible. Its impact moved sideways, not outward. That realization reframed everything. Influence did not require amplification. It required coherence over time. And in holding that line, the story approaches final understanding. The final understanding arrived without announcement. The restaurant did not need to be seen to be felt. Its choices had already shaped the landscape around it. By refusing fame, it protected intimacy. By avoiding narrative, it preserved truth. The experience stayed alive because it was never frozen into content. Over time, the industry adjusted. Some followed the path quietly. Others misunderstood and imitated the surface. But the lesson remained intact. Visibility is not the same as value. In a world measuring worth by reach, this restaurant offered a different metric. Depth, consistency, integrity held over years, not moments. Guests left with no proof, but with memory. No story to post, but a feeling that stayed. That feeling became the restaurant's legacy. Today, as attention grows louder and more demanding, this story feels essential. Not everything meaningful needs an audience. Not everything powerful needs a platform. Sometimes, the most iconic choice is to remain unseen. The mechanics of how Refusal became reputation are worth examining, because they reveal something counterintuitive about how influence actually travels. The restaurant did not become iconic despite its refusal of visibility. It became iconic through a specific consequence of that refusal. The experiences it created remained unmediated. Guests left with feelings that had not been pre-interpreted for them. They had no frame from a review, no context from a profile, no expectation from a social feed to filter what they encountered against. The experience arrived directly and remained personal. And personal experiences, when they are genuinely good, generate a particular kind of testimony. Not the broadcast testimonial of a post or review, but the careful, specific, private recommendation that carries more weight because it is offered selectively. That selectivity is what built the reputation that the restaurant itself refused to build. Every person who received the careful recommendation became a carrier of something they knew was not widely shared. The scarcity was not manufactured. It was a natural consequence of the restaurant's refusal to participate in the systems through which most information about restaurants now travels. The alternative network that formed around it, the network of private conversation and trusted reference, was not less powerful than the conventional network of media and algorithms. In some ways, it was more powerful, because every link in it had been formed through genuine relationship rather than through the frictionless sharing of content. Subscribe to join the journey. The restaurant also demonstrated something about the relationship between attention and quality that practitioners in many fields find difficult to hold on to under commercial pressure. Attention, when it arrives from outside and at scale, changes what is being paid attention to. The performance of the thing, calibrated for the watching, begins to displace the thing itself. Kitchens that cook for cameras gradually, imperceptibly, start cooking for cameras. Teams that have been profiled begin performing the version of themselves that was profiled. The feedback loop between how a thing is perceived and how it is practiced eventually collapses the distance between them. What remains is a performed version, optimized for legibility, stripped of whatever excess and uncertainty made the original thing worth attending to. The restaurant that refused fame was refusing this process. It was insisting that the work remain accountable only to itself and to the people directly receiving it, rather than to the broader audience that would form opinions from a distance. That insistence protected the conditions under which genuinely difficult things could be attempted. The willingness to fail, the freedom to be uncertain, the permission to be unresolved. None of those conditions survived the arrival of scale and scrutiny intact. The restaurant understood this. Its refusals were not about arrogance or preciousness. They were about preserving the context in which the actual work was possible. The irony is that this very protection is what made the work worth the attention it refused. Circular, yes, but also true. That circularity is not a contradiction. It is a description of how creative integrity sustains itself over time. The work that refuses to be shaped by external perception remains free to be shaped by internal standards. Those standards, applied consistently and without compromise, produce something that external perception eventually recognizes as singular. The refusal of attention is therefore not a strategy for gaining it. It is a condition under which the work that deserves attention can exist. Fame follows integrity when integrity refuses to follow fame. The restaurant understood this ordering before most of the industry did, and it held the line long enough for the truth of it to become undeniable. The